everybody. Welcome to the Straight Outta BS podcast. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. Really appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon members. Thank you to anybody that's donated. Thank you to anybody that has interacted with the video at all. I appreciate you. Links are in the description for that. I want to do a moment of silence for the person still struggling with intrusive thoughts or addiction. So on the count of three, I'm going to do a moment of silence. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you for that. And without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce my guest for the day. Go ahead and introduce yourself and where you went and what years.
Hey, I'm Rain. I went to Crosscreek Manor, I think around like 2012-ish. A little shoddy on the timing. I'm bad with that, but somewhere around like 2012 to 2014, I think.
Okay. And walk us through like a little bit of your childhood and what led up to you being sent away.
My mom seemingly has narcissistic personality disorder, and that was actually kind of chill while it was just her and I. And then she got married, and I was like properly like the stepchild, archetype. And I met my biological dad, attempted to commit suicide for the first time when I was 9, had a series of like mental health issues and weird 90s prescription things, ended up in a mental health institution for self-harm, and then from there was tranquilized and transported to Crosscreek.
Okay. And you said you were transported. What do you remember about your transport?
I remember I had just been handed like a handful of like tranquilizer pills. And then I saw like my godmother and godfather that had sent their child to a program, which the Majestic Ranch one, which is where my parents got the idea initially. And I saw them and I saw my parents holding my baby sister. And then there was this like weird couple that kind of like shuffled me into the back of their car, and then I was like completely unconscious for a lot of the journey. And I feel like I remember like kind of waking up in an airport with like my suitcase and a pillow on my lap. I don't know if that's like a real memory. I'm like kind of looking around and them being like, it's okay, go back to sleep. And then I woke back up at Crosscreek just like completely naked and with staff searching me.
Okay. And so did they make you take the pills, or did you just take the pills of your own accord, those tranquilizers? Like, did they just give them to you?
They told me that I could take the pills willingly or they could give me an injection. So, like, I had options, but, like, not really.
Okay. And do you remember being handcuffed at all during transport, or do you remember them threatening that?
No.
Okay.
I think I was so, like, sedated, or
yeah,
is that the right word?
Yeah.
Like, I was so out of it. Like, in addition to the tranquilizers, I was about, like, 90 to 100 pounds and 12 years old at the time, and I was on 1,200 milligrams of Seroquel a day, 600 in the morning and 600 at night. And anybody that, like, has any experience with Seroquel knows what, like, a weird experience that is. So.
Yeah, I used to be on Seroquel, so I know.
Okay, yeah, it was. I couldn't tell reality from dream states, and I was barely functional. So, and then plus the tranquilizers at that point, like, I don't think they were worried enough to put me in handcuffs.
Okay.
If they did, I do not remember.
Okay. Okay. And you said you were 12 when you got sent there?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you remember about when you first got there? Do you remember them buddying you up with somebody? Do you remember them giving you any physical rule manual? Do you remember them going over rules with you? What do you remember?
Like I said, I remember like being naked and being searched. I had like a weird coming in experience based on what I saw afterwards, because other people like got deloused and, you know, got kind of like introduced to their group and whatever while that was happening. I did get assigned a Hope Buddy. I think it was like Hope Buddies, because like everything was kind of janky at the time, and people were like graduating, and so I got assigned a Hope Buddy that was about to graduate, and they had to pair us up 2 per Hope Buddy at the moment. I do remember being handed a manual. I remember like constantly being told I was doing things wrong that didn't seem like they made sense to me. I remember yelling at a staff that this wasn't real reality.
Okay. And how long your program had seminars, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Crosscreek. Okay. How long after
yeah.
you got there do you think it was before they put you through your first seminar? And was it orientation or discovery? Do you remember?
It was orientation. I think it was like, I think for like if you were like on track and like the ideal candidate in that situation, it was like a month and you could get that. But I think, you know, because of the circle and me not thinking that that was actually reality, I spent a lot of time in worksheets. I think I didn't make it to orientation for like 3 months or something.
Okay. And how long would you say it was before they gave you your first phone call? Before you got one?
Oh, it was so long. That was like held above my head for a really long time. I don't know, but I remember being like, other girls keep getting their phone calls with family. Like, why am I not getting mine? And it was like to teach me a lesson of some sort.
Okay.
But yeah, it was, I think it was like 3 to 6 months, something like that.
Okay. And how was your program overall? Was it hard for you to get points? Were you in fuck it mode, or were you targeted, or was it easy for you to get points? How was your program?
From my experience, like, I feel like I kind of have a weird dynamic with it because I remember, like, after I kind of, like, grasped onto that being reality, I remember seeing, like, I was very into psychology even that young, because I'd already had suicide attempts and I'm autistic, so, like, you know, rabbit hole that I went down. But, like, I remember knowing that they were doing brainwashing tactics and, like, being very aware of that and, like, telling myself over and over again, like, they're doing brainwashing tactics, just like get through this, like do what you have to do. And then like, but then later on that resulted in like I feel like more so than other people, I knowingly like did the abusive part of the like latter seminars, you know, because like I knew what was happening and I feel like I made the choice more than other people, but maybe that's like just self-deprecation.
Okay. And what level and how many seminars did you make it through when you were there?
I graduated.
Okay, you graduated. Okay.
So I did
Okay.
all the like everything from orientation to PC3. My PC3 was in California.
Okay. And how long were you there?
Approximately 2 years.
Okay. About as long as me. I was there 22 months. Or I was at Spring Creek
Yeah.
22 months.
I remember hearing about that one.
Yeah. I don't know. There was a lot of unique things about Spring Creek Lodge, but we had it like just as bad.
I'm interested if you want to elaborate, but yeah.
Yeah, there's
Like
just
I
a
feel
lot
like
of
we had transfers from there in Cross Creek.
there's just a lot of similarities, and then there's a lot of differences. Like we had it
Right.
at Spring Creek, we had this whole like graduation ceremony that they called Trail of Lights, and I don't think they did that in any other facility. It was like a whole
Yeah, no,
like
I'm
crowd
not.
surfing thing, and like
Oh,
they like
wild.
yeah, we got crowd
Okay.
surfed, and yeah, it was
That
wild.
sounds
But
like it could be cool in almost any other context.
I mean, honestly, it was one of my favorite parts of my entire program.
Awesome. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that one
You have
part,
like
the
long
crowd
hair
surf.
now. Did you have long hair when you went?
No, well, I did when I first went there, and then they shaved it all off. They shaved
Right,
everybody's
that's what I was
off.
wondering because I remember
But
everybody
yeah,
that came in with like out of the norm hairstyles, they just shave their heads and stuff.
yeah, I kind of looked like a scarecrow, I think, when I went in. I had a fuck ton of hair and just it was all like mangy and fucking like really fucked up. Yeah, I was kind of little trouble child. I don't know. That's what my parents said that I was, but I think I was just being a teenager. But yeah,
What were you like
that's
being
I had just started smoking weed and drinking a
like
little
how old
bit.
were you? And like
I was 16.
yeah, just normal teen shit. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. But so you graduated.
Wild.
What did you what did you think of focus, and do you remember your I am statement?
I don't. I remember that it was one of the people that made mine like a ridiculous like 4 character one, but like
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was. Like I'm beautiful, charismatic, smart. Like it was something like that, but I have no idea what the actual words that go in there were.
Okay.
What was the other component of that question?
Well, I was asking, what did you think of focus?
Oh, okay. I remember like there was a lot of sleep deprivation that happened.
Yeah.
I remember having to like write all of those essays like front and back with like the diamonds in the corners and all that. I remember being yelled at that it was my fault that I was molested, even though my molestation experience was from when I was like 4 years old, and that seemed off. And it was more of like me being like, well, this is crazy. Like, this is brainwashing crazy shit. Was that the one with the towels, or was that Discovery?
With the what? With the towels?
With the like duct tape towels?
I think we did, because at Spring Creek, we beat the floor in every single seminar. I'm pretty sure we did.
That might be true for Cross Creek too. I have such like a loose grasp on those memories.
Yeah, I also might be wrong, because then again, once again, we were being brainwashed. So I kind of kept a lot of this within. So
brainwashing and trauma has serious effects on like memory loss and hippocampus shit. So.
Do you remember what your stretch was? What they made, like where they made dress up? Yeah.
Oh, I think mine was in like the In Vogue thing. But I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't like remember the song. I just remember like the fucking dance thing with it.
Okay. And did you you went on to the upper levels then, right? You were junior staff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. What was your experience of being a junior staff?
I don't remember any of that. I recently reconnected with a girl that was apparently my hoe buddy through that, and she like she remembers a lot more of that experience because it was like her introduction to it, and she was apparently there for like a year. I didn't remember any of that. And I asked her like what her experiences of me were because I couldn't remember, and she said that I was like really scared that like in retrospect I was really scared that she would like fuck up and that one or both of us would get in trouble. And so she was like, you'd shoot me like these weird looks, and I didn't understand at the time, and I thought you were just being a bitch. So, and I was like, that was my experience. I always like, it felt like all the upper levels were assholes when I first got there. Like they were all snooty and bitches, and like I think we were pitted against each other purposely in that way.
Yeah, definitely by design.
Right.
Did you were you ever made to admit to things that you never did in the program?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. To the extent where they gave me a vaginal exam to prove if I was a virgin. I was 12 and I was, and it was real weird. But yeah, I had to like say that I was having sex, which I hadn't and wasn't, and say that I'd done heroin, which again I was 12. I didn't even like know the mechanics of what doing heroin would look like. I thought black tar heroin literally looked like tar. Like I had to admit to a lot of weird things. That was one of the prerequisites for like being able to contact my family and have that family call, do my confession letter properly.
Okay. How long after you got there did you get your confession letter? Do you remember?
I had to start working on it like immediately, but I don't remember when mine got done.
Oh, I mean,
I sent it like, oh.
I'm sorry, I meant your commitment letter. Did you get a commitment letter from your parents?
Oh.
That was a letter that from parents had said they expected you to graduate.
I remember, but maybe.
Yeah, because that was the one.
It seems like that was a thing, but I don't directly remember that.
Okay. That's fine. What was the hardest part for you about being at Cross Creek, and how did you handle it?
I think like knowing what was happening, but being like the lack of control or ability to do anything with that knowledge. Okay. Even up to like when I had like when you have like your weekend away with your parents or whatever, my parents like drove a camper up to Utah, and I remember like I kept thinking like I should just tell them. I should just tell them what's happening, and then they can take me out. But if they don't believe me, then I might set myself back another like 12 months or whatever. It was just so frustrating to feel so I don't know, weak and incapable. despite knowing what was happening.
Okay. And you graduated. Did you set up a life contract before you went home? Did they set you up with a life contract before they sent you home?
Yeah.
Okay. How long did the life contract last when you got home?
Like, how long was it supposed to last, or how long did it actually last?
How long did it actually last?
Only a few months. My mom got physically violent with me for the first time pretty quick after I got back. I think she thought I'd be more fixed than I was, and I moved out shortly after that. So like it lasted like 2 or 3 months, pretty much until I got a job.
And in what ways has the program affected you since you got out? What do you struggle with the most?
I think probably CPTSD stuff, like just not being able to navigate regular things and having like PTSD episodes where like I have memory loss and like lack of ability to perceive reality.
Okay. And have you tried talking to your parents about how this place affected you? Have they watched the program? Where are you with your parents?
I tried to talk to my mom about it a few times initially, and her thing that she's always stuck by is it saved your life. Because like I said, it was mostly self-harm that was happening before I went in there. It saved your life, so like whatever, it was worth it. And then I informed her when the Paris Hilton documentary thing came out, because I thought that would give some validation to the things I'd said. And we're no longer on speaking terms because she tried to take me to court to take my kids away.
Okay.
She lost, and it wasn't like a viable reason. She just like stalked us and kind of went crazy. But I was like, I have to draw some boundaries, and you have to respect those, or we can't talk anymore. And she hasn't, made any attempts since that.
Okay. And were you on any prescription medications before you went to Cross Creek? And if so, did they try and take you off those medications, or they give you more medications when you got to Cross Creek?
There's definitely Seroquel. I think I was maybe on and off a couple other ones because mental institutions tend to do a little overkill on that end. I was told that I couldn't get off the ridiculously high levels of Seroquel until I got on phase 3. But it was really hard to get on phase 3 because falling asleep was categories, and I couldn't not fall asleep. So.
Okay. And if you could go back in a time machine and not go through Cross Creek, knowing what you know now, would you do it, and why?
I think so. But it's really hard to tell from here because who would I be without that experience and that trauma? Like, I don't know what I am without being like compiled of those things,
Okay.
But I would like to know what my life would look like if I like did a normal childhood and went to college and had the ability to like explore my interests and not be fucked all the time.
Okay. And what was the worst thing that you saw or that happened to you in Cross Creek? And was there anything positive about your experience? And it's perfectly fine if there wasn't.
Okay. I think I might have to come back to the second half of that in a second because I don't quite register all of that. But the worst thing I saw would have to, I think, be like a tie between, there was one girl that was on the desert process where nobody was allowed to acknowledge her at all. They couldn't even like count her in lines. If she was acting out, they couldn't give her categories. She just like was not allowed to exist, and that always seemed fucked to me. And then there was one girl that had like a really traumatic childhood, and was seemingly not there for anything that she did, but had been adopted and just kind of like thrown into the system because she didn't act like normal or whatever. And they were so cruel to her, and she had already gone through so much. And yeah, that always fucked me up a little. What was the second part?
Was there anything positive about your experience? And it's perfectly fine if there wasn't.
I think that it's an interesting measure of like my ability to like internally like be steadfast. Like I was able to tell myself every day like this stuff's not okay, you're right for like not wanting to just adhere to this. Like, this is crazy, you know, like that ability to keep my mental in that moment
Okay.
helps.
Did you spend a lot of time in intervention or study hall?
Yes. Like, I think like a full year, basically.
Okay. What was the longest time they kept you in intervention or study hall at one time?
The intervention room, I think I was in there for like 3 days with no food, water, or water but no food. The worksheets, I don't know. Time got so lost in there. But I think I spent like the better part of a year on and off in there.
Okay. And what do you think would have helped you instead of being sent away?
Better understanding of like therapy, actual mental health practices, which people are like just now, I feel like, coming around to. Better understanding of like actual autism things. Just like a better understanding of psychology and that being more implemented regularly or more normalized.
Okay. And did you want to share GoFundMe or what you have going on with that?
Yeah, there's that GoFundMe. Should I send like a link or how does that work? Oops.
So when I post the video, I will post the link with it. And I'm probably just gonna expedite your video and just put it out like sooner than I would be putting it out regularly.
Thank you
So
very much for that.
just tell them what you want them to know about your GoFundMe, like in words.
A fellow survivor started the GoFundMe after hearing some recordings and seeing some pictures of the abuse I'm currently in. My partner also has some very severe mental health issues, and I'm unable to deal with the consequences of that any longer. And so I reached a breaking point, and I shared some things, and will set up the GoFundMe for my situation.
Okay, and that will be
adequate. Sorry.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Awesome.
And links for that will be in the description. And thank you guys for if you can contribute anything, that would mean a lot. If nothing else, just like give her some words of encouragement. But you know, donations help for sure. So the links will be in the description when this video comes out. Is there anything else you want people to know about your experience, or anything that you might tell a parent thinking about sending their kid to a place like this?
I think it does irreparable. I mean, I don't think it scientifically does irreparable damage to people's brains to go through that sort of trauma at that period of like adolescence and brain development. And I think that it's so incredibly difficult to work out from there. And I hope that we can make a situation where nobody feels comfortable sending their kids into that anymore.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And if you ever want to do a part 2, you're more than welcome to coming on. We can make that happen. And if you guys have watched so far in the video, please make sure you like the video, comment down below, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for all updates. And we will catch you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yep.